It's time for a video. It's time for another video. The Psychic Friends Network. Something like that. I thought I'd explain a thing or two, for a number of reasons. One, because, I couldn't help but notice, after coming out with, I think it was the video, The Psychic Environment. I couldn't help but notice, a little later in the day, a broadcaster, too, coming in, and one being a bit stronger than it has been so far. And anyway, I appreciate it. It's just the thing is, this isn't like some end-all, be-all. It's not like, ooh, now I can just sit in the house and finagle. I don't have to go outside anymore, talk to anybody. I can learn all the answers. It's not like that. This is just another thing on top of all the other things. And within and around it. And synonymous with it, sure. But you still gotta use your words. Can't just stare at each other like a couple of fucking lunatics. I mean, I suppose you can, but you gotta have it. I mean, as far as I'm aware, in order to have that kind of communication line open clearly, you've got to really be connected with somebody. And that's a multifaceted process. A fair amount of it can be done on the Psychic Friends Network. But, gotta have those more tangible interactions and transparency, because this stuff will muck up the Psychic Friends Network too. Shows up as all kinds of weird shit. You don't know what's going on. I mean, you can kind of finagle around it if you get accustomed to it, but still, it's like, it's just come on. It's a growth thing, Besides, look, it's like another body politic of oneself and everything else. It's not going to work right if everything else isn't leveled up, isn't matured, isn't grown. And maturation doesn't mean like burying one's inner child or some shit like that. No. This is what many foul prescriptions of old kind of suggested, and that's just not the case. You're going to end up having the equivalent of a symbolic, undead, angry child running around in the periphery of your awareness. That's not a good idea. There's going to be pulling the strings in the unconscious and everything else trying to get your attention. That's the language of the unconscious right there. Because it's trying to get your attention. Say, hey, listen. Like that little fairy in the Zelda game. Which one was it? Zelda's Ocarina of Time. Hey, listen. It's trying to get your attention. Because there's something that needs to be seen. It's like, what, you're not paying attention to this? You don't like Little Fairy? That's fine. I can get bigger and bigger till it gets your attention. Nah. But the Psychic Friends Network. The other thing is, if you don't have that kind of entanglement, and not all entanglements are bad or toxic or narcissistic, thank God. Those are like aberrations of fine entanglements. Finer entanglements. Dare I say even beautiful entanglements. But I can still get a little wonky. But yeah, you got to have, in order for it to be really effective, you gotta know one another and be open on these levels. in the more tangible world too. See, the thing is, to me, all these things are very tangible. So I'm kind of just using this word tangible as a way as a bridge. If it's not tangible to anybody yet, it's like a different kind of material. But, I don't know. Anyway. And again, my gonzo journalism disclaimer, I'm just some kind of octopus person flubbering around in the in the extranet, reporting to you as I see and experience things. And here's another thing about the whole octopus thing. Well, it's because this stuff goes way back for me. It's like my body knew so many things long before the rest of me did, on so many levels. Things that a lot of people take for granted right now. Sounded like crazy talk 20 years ago. Well, what do you know? Now it's a thing. So many ways. So, what's the lunatic going on about now that might be a thing in 20 years or less? Probably less with this one. I don't know, I'm not going to speculate. But yeah, the octopus's body knows what's up long before the rest of it does. It's like, okay, whoop, we're doing this then. It's like each little tentacle has a mind of its own, as does the rest of its body, as does its skin and everything else. It's like, oh, well, we're doing this now. We need to be looking like a flounder or I don't know, something. Need to blend in with the rock? Terrific. Oh, look at all these things on the ocean floor. I'm going to make a little fort out of them. They make like these little ball forts of shells and things like this. And it's like, and then they just walk around like that as this ball of crap that they found on the ocean floor. I don't know. But yeah, that's, my larger body, if you will, knows what's up, and it's just plugged into any number of things, and I get a nudge and a pull like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is what we're doing now. There's agency in there, too, but it's different. I don't know how to explain it. It's not a fucking mechanistic thing. That's as far as I'm concerned, this whole mechanistic way of seeing things is kind of a narcissistic overlay in any number of ways. What's really driving it underneath it? I detect fear of the unknown and a need to know, a need for control, or the perception of it. Hyper-reductionistic in any number of ways. These underlying motives pour quite a bit into the formulation of paradigms. And a paradigm is like a lens of consideration of information. And that which doesn't fit just doesn't compute. So I think it's helpful to collect any number of them, because then you look at things from any number of angles. You never know what another paradigm might be picking up on that the other just can't see within that spectrum of tunnel vision. Some might get the opinion that, but the sciences, no. Are you fucking kidding me? The sciences operate on an assumption of materialism. And yet, wouldn't you know it, so much evidence and information suggests that things are so much stranger than they appear. Well, what if we have mechanics to pick up on all of that? In any number of other ways. Because that's how things are. And it is what it is. But anyway. The Psychic Friends Network. The Psychic Friends Network can get buggered up by the little... I don't want to talk about that. All right. Also, with the Psychic Friends Network, I can't go into certain kinds of environments if they're very unhealed still. It's painful. It's like I haven't been there. I know what it's like. but I can't go back in there. But you can come out of there. I'd recommend it, but you can't. I don't know if you can just come out, though. It's like someone's walled off by all these kind of, not quite ossified organs, but etheric organs or something. I'm just trying to explain away how it makes sense. And they're just all black and, ooh, scrunchy. Well, they got to get nutritioned so you can more comfortably come out, not just forcing oneself to do it. That's the thing with the whole self-love thing. It's kind of honoring where you are right now and not like, oh, you don't like going out in crowds? Well, get out in the crowd, into the arena, pussy. Throw you to the wolves and hope for the best. No, but it's also not enabling. And that's the thing. It's like there's so many things we don't really know what to do. It's like either this or that. Ah, Jesus, do I enable them? Or do I just throw them to the wolves? Good luck, gladiator. I'm not a gladiator. I know. So I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know what to do for you. And, yeah, there's a lot of value systems around this whole suffering, pain, suffering, and misery thing. And look, hey, you can get stronger for it, but really? Or is it just because we have a lot of shitty roadmaps? I don't think one needs to become abysmally traumatized in order to find themselves. Just have a lot of shitty information. So yeah, it's about providing the proper nutrition to those parts of oneself that they never got it. Then you become more empowered, comfortably, finagling, feeling it out. What's going on in there? What didn't I get? What did I need? There's probably a lot of embarrassing things in there, and I hear you. But it's important. Let's get down to it. So yeah, I can get a broadcast, I suppose you could say, from somebody who's in something more like that still. I might have recently and said, okay, just kind of, it shifted over, like, hey, I can wave to you from over here, but I can't get in it. We can't really communicate very well either with all this stuff in the way. So, yeah. That being said, there's a pretty fair spectrum I can go finagling in without it being an issue. But that's the thing. In order for the psychic friends network thing to work, well, you just got to be more tapped in and tuned in and properly nutrished and not on the process of ossification. Well, no. I mean, the only people, that's a stretch. I'd say the ossified ones are like more the living stone babies, if you will, the more narcissistic types. The petrified people. Of course, not everybody. There's plenty of petrified people who are not, cluster B narcissistic, but they tend to have a lot of narcissistic values and perhaps some even, some threads of that kind of stuff going on. But in my experience, it seems to be all coming from similar kind of stuff. They got deprived in any number of ways by things they needed growing up, and either thrown to the wolves, enabled. And, in many ways did get proper nutrition. If we didn't get any of it, then we'd really be screwed. But we can pick up where those things got left off, thankfully. Now you just might find some help along the way. The hero's journey is the healing journey, in my opinion, in any number of ways, especially these days, because that seems to be one of the most important things on the docket, this whole healing journey thing. Maybe it has been for a very long time, I'm not sure. And maybe it just took a long time for a lot of the darkness and the skeletons to come out of the closets. And for the interdimensional finaglers to get comfy enough to start peeking a head up or two and saying, hey, there's some other things going on. You might you might want to have a look-see. Speaking of which, I would highly recommend Ellie Frost. She's on the YouTube, amongst a number of other places. She can help a great deal with the reclamation of one's energy components and all this, especially for anybody dealing with any narcissism debacles. That's where a lot of these con jobs take place. More energetic and unconscious. In my experience, anyway. That's where it's been the most effective to disentangle with. Quite expediently, mind you. So, that's kind of cool. But yeah, highly recommend her. Before I wrap it up, there's one more thing. It's a little tip and a trick. Speaking of narcissism debacles, one of the things that a narcissist and or narcissistic system will con you in with is tapping into your unmet needs and providing you with an illusion of them to get you trapped. One of those kind of parasitic entanglements. Yeah, there's some next level shit going on with the narcs too. Take a look at what Ellie has to say about all that. I would have to concur. Big time. And, proof is in the pudding. So, yeah. That's a little bit about the Psychic Friends Network. And with that, Ronald, can you go ahead and hit the record player for me? Yeah. No, it's already in there. I put it in earlier. Yeah. All right. On that, thanks for tuning in. And until next time.